the top European leagues around the world, they're all coming down to the wire. Most of them, besides the Premier League, the title race is over in a lot of them, besides the Premier League. But there's some key European spots that are left battling around the world. So I'm here to discuss some of those things. Some of those things. So first of all, we have to start off with the Premier League. Obviously, the title race in the Premier League is coming down to the wire. Arsenal hold a 1 point lead over Manchester City, but Manchester City have a game in hand, which they'll play on Tuesday against Tottenham. Man City play Fulham on Saturday. Arsenal play United on Sunday. Liverpool, technically, they're still alive, but they're out of it. They're out of it. With 78 points. Just, there's too much of a wide gap to cover in that time. Aston Villa, they are basically clinched fourth place at this point. Not mathematically clinched, but when you look at it, 67 points. Their next closest one is Tottenham with 60 points, but Tottenham do have a game in hand. So let's say they win it, it's still a 4 point gap to cover in 2 games. But this is a Tottenham team that's struggling. They're in a horrible form. So when you look at the last couple games, actually, they've lost to teams like Chelsea, Arsenal. They lost to Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Newcastle. That's a 4-game losing streak. Obviously, that's a gauntlet to play when you play Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, even though Chelsea are not the strongest. But those are 4 teams in the top 8 right now. They get to play Burnley tomorrow, and maybe that helps them close that gap. But Villa, they've also been struggling. They lost to Olympiacos. They just got eliminated. They lost to Brighton over the weekend. But I still think they'll do enough, to get that top 4. Europa League, as it stands right now within England, only 5th place gets a Europa League finish. And unless Tottenham finish 4th, Aston Villa can finish no longer than 5th. Spurs they're the strongest position to finish that 5th place and get the Europa League spot with the 4 point lead they have over Newcastle. But Newcastle do have a chance to host Brighton, and they're in good form, so maybe they can make up the ground. We'll see. Chelsea and United have miniature chances of finishing 5th, but they're really battling for that 6th place spot and battling out for Conference League, which maybe those 2 clubs might desire. Maybe that's their chance to, complete football next season. They're teams that actually, Chelsea, yes. I don't know if United have won a Europa League. I don't think United have won a Europa League. Chelsea have a chance to complete because they won a Europa League. They've won actually. Yeah, they won it. I think they've won multiple Europa Leagues. Actually, I believe the year after they won the Champions League, I think they won that Europa League. But they definitely won the Europa League against Arsenal a few years ago. So Chelsea, maybe they look at it as an opportunity. Hey, we can complete football now. I don't know. We're gonna move on to La Liga. La Liga, 4 rounds to go. Real Madrid, title clinched, champions. And then Real Madrid, Girona, Barcelona, they have secured their place for Champions League next season. Atletico Madrid, they hold a 6-point lead over Athletic Club. They can't seal it this week, but they're in the inside track with 4 games to go. It's a 6-point lead. More than comfortably, I think they'll complete it. Athletic Club, they won Copa del Rey, so they're gonna finish within they're gonna finish within the top 6. So the cup moves. The chance for the cup moves to another team, and 5th and 6th place will enter the Europa League. So either Atletico Madrid or Athletic Club will take one of those places. Probably going to be Atletico Madrid. With Athletic Club, because I don't think Atletico Madrid dropping out. Real Sociedad is sitting there in 6th, but they're being chased by Real Betis, who are only 2 points behind them. Valencia is also in the race, but they're 7 points behind Sociedad. Not really likely. Bundesliga. Bayer Leverkusen are still unbeaten all season. They've already secured their first championship in their history. 84 points in 32 games. Remarkable. Man, 49 game on winning streak. They have a chance to go for trouble. Unbelievable season. Phenomenal for Leverkusen. Champions League. There's 5 spots in the Champions League for Germany. I'm really confused how this coefficient thing works. Which leagues get the extra spot? I have no idea. But Champions League, Bundesliga is one of the 2 team leagues that get the 5th spot. It's through European performance spot. I don't know what that means. Maybe the fact they had Dortmund and Bayern reach the semis. The top 5 positions is going to be joining Leverkusen. It's going to be Bayern, Stuttgart get in, Leipzig get in, and Dortmund, who's 3 points behind the Leipzig, they're also going to be getting in. Dortmund, the year that they reached the final, it would be funny. The year that they reached the final, going back years past, I know the season's not over yet, so they can still climb into that top 4. But imagine if they finish 5th. Imagine they reached the Champions League final and finished 5th. That reminds me of a Chelsea team that did that. I don't even think they finished 5th. They finished like 6th or 7th. This was poor season, Premier League campaign-wise, but they ended up winning the Champions League. So interesting for Borussia Dortmund. But they're even in 5th place. They're gonna go in, and actually the tricky thing is if they do, since they're in the final, if they do win it and they stay in the 5th place, which they will. Then 6th place in the Bundesliga will also take a trip to the Champions League, and that'll be Eintracht Frankfurt, who are 45 points, who are comfortably in 5th place, but they have a cushion, a 4-point cushion with 2 games to go from anyone behind them too. So they're kind of, they want to make sure they stay in that 6th place spot just in case the extra Champions League spot opens up for them. And then with the Europa League, there's a lot of complicated issues with the 6th in the league and the winners of the DFB Pokal. It really, there's a lot of things going in there. So let's just leave that alone just for now because there's a lot going on. Serie A, 3 rounds to go. Internazionale, they wrapped up the Scudetto. They won it a few weeks ago, I believe. They have 92 points in 36 games. Absolutely brilliant season from them. They're going to be a huge threat in next year's Champions League, in my opinion. Talented team. Just like Bundesliga, Italy has secured an extra place for the Champions League next year. They have 5. So Inter will be in. AC Milan is in. Juventus is nice having them back. They're going to be in. Bologna, that's the surprise one. Bologna is also in. And the third, this is obviously not a clinch, but the 3rd and 4th place teams regarding Juventus and Bologna, they have a 6-point gap to 6, who is Atalanta. But Atalanta has a chance to get in also with the Europa League final. If they win the Europa League final against Leverkusen, that could get them in, which makes it a little bit tricky. Atlanta and Fiorentina, AC. Hold on. Let me see what the standings say. Atlanta and Fiorentina might go into an extra game of the final position as results earn if they both equal with points and obviously if Atalanta they don't win the Europa League, if they equal points, goal score, all that stuff. So that'll be an interesting situation. With Europa League, Atalanta face Juventus in the final of the Coppa Italia, which means one of those teams that finished 6th and 7th will automatically qualify for the UEFA Europa League, and that's obviously subjected to whether or not Atalanta can win the Europa League. Roma, Atalanta, and Lazio are the main contenders, but there's still hopes for 8th place for Napoli, who is the other Europa League spot, and maybe Fiorentina that has a game in hand with 50 points. Man, Napoli, the drop-off. They're on the outside looking in for Europa League after one of the best club seasons we've seen last year. The drop-off has been massive, but it's a shame. Losing their manager has a lot to do with it, but no, it's very interesting. Ligue 1, we'll go real quick. PSG, 70 points with 31 games. They've already secured the title. France gets 3 places in automatically places in the Champions League, with the 4th team entering a qualifying round. PSG have already picked the 1st place. And then there's a battle going on for the two other guaranteed spots into the group stages. AS Monaco has 61 points in 32 games. They've claimed one of the, and we'll make sure it's with just a point for their final two matches. They're away at Montpellier on Sunday. Brest, Lille, and Nice, they're battling out for that third spot through Nice game in hand, who's at home to PSG. In the Europa League, Nice isn't, for the Europa League positioning, Nice is sitting there in fifth. A Europa League spot is, within their reach comfortably. Especially, this is if they're not able to climb the gap and take top four. And then right behind them is Lens with 49 points in 32 games. There's a bit of a margin there. But they have played one game more. So that. And then PSG also take Lyon on in the final of the Coupe de France on May 25th. And if PSG were able to win it, that sends the sixth place teams automatically into the Europa League as well. So that'll be very interesting to see.